So, Claude's actually pretty fire at making landing pages now, at least just making them look nicer, more professional in a lot of ways. I want to show you how to do that in this video. It's been a while since I've posted on here, but hey, I'm back. But yeah, obviously with Claude, it's not the best in terms of the quality of the copy it produces. So you got to help it there in terms of being able to, like, you still got to know how to write copy. You got to know what's good, what isn't good. There's a pretty good post that, as of today, April 1st, 2026, of Hermosi going over all of the things that AI does in regards to the kind of bad copy that stuff produces. But anyways, point is, Claude is very good at making a landing page look nice. It's just on you to go through and be like, okay, cool, this looks awesome. Now let me help it figure out how to actually make the copy look as good as it should. So you have some context. I make all of my landing pages on ClickFunnels, but now essentially I'm doing a workaround where things are hosted on Cloudflare, and ClickFunnels is essentially just the container. And it's like with workers and pages and stuff like that. I'll show you in this video. But the main thing I want to show you, well, actually, man, screw that. You can ask Claude and have it walk you through the aspects and all of those little details as far as like how to actually make it host somewhere. But I'm going to walk you through an actual landing page that I had made using Claude. Specifically for a low ticket product that, I'm helping someone make. Okay, so this is one that, I had someone make. As always, with funnel hacking, you'll hear me talk about that all the time. If you look through old videos on this page or you find something that's working, you never want to start with, a blank canvas, so to speak. You always want to start off with some sort of frame of reference. And then you just build on that. So I gave it some examples of someone else running a totally different offer to a totally different demographic. So it's like there's no way I can be, going after the same people, because that would be morally incorrect, possibly illegal as well. Not sure, but anyways, so that's why. We went after, like, I found someone who had a working landing page in a similar niche, but totally different demographic. This is like a woman going after women who are like going through menopause. I am targeting weebs, so totally different demographic. You essentially just want it to give it, everything that it needs, as much context about the offer, things like that, how to write copy, the color that you want the page, all of these like details that it can go through. And then always let it know, here's the prompt if you want. And then you can also give it, embeds and stuff like that. So like for a VSL, you can give it like, hey, here's the Wistia embed or the YouTube embed, whatever you want to do. I prefer Wistia just for the sake of them not being able to like click through to stuff. Because that's the worst thing with like embedding YouTube videos on a landing page is that there's always like the ability for them to go through and like click, like, I want to watch this video now. We don't want that. We want them to just watch the video and decide whether or not they want to take action on the landing page, right? So you give it all that information. Here's the Wistia embed. Here's all this stuff. And then, I always let it know, like, hey, you can tell me if you need anything else from me in order to make it. And if not, then it'll just spit, or sometimes I'll just let it spit out a first draft on the spot. And then you always want it in an HTML format. You can just put the page on there with just HTML. It's totally possible. But like, and I think for him, I actually am doing that. But like, depending on the complexity of the page, some stuff might break. And then that's when Cloudflare iframes can be handy. But in this situation, I don't think that's even necessary. You can just here's the HTML, boom, slap it on the page. You basically go on ClickFunnels and you just create a blank page, and then you just like, you're putting one element on there, which is the HTML. You can also just host directly on Cloudflare, I believe. But yeah, as far as like the technical aspects of it, you can go through those things. But yeah, man, and then it'll spit out cool things. You can have them make carousels and all that stuff, and I'll show you the final results in a bit. But then you can also go through and so I will upload, you know, all of our images and testimonials and stuff like that. Any sort of images that I want and want to use, and I'll upload those on ClickFunnels. And then on ClickFunnels, it'll give you a unique link, you know, as you can see here, for all of the images, and then you just give Claude that as well. As you can see here, give it all of those images, and now it has access to be able to use those, and it'll just reference those images there as well, and then it'll put it in there, and then you're essentially just going back and forth with it. Like you can see, like it was making the carousel like whip through way too fast. I was like, hey man, you got to slow that down. It's just a little too crazy in here, so I made it slow that carousel down, and then I'm just going through editing the copy, doing stuff like that, making split tests, things like that, you know, just all that sort of. And when I say editing the copy, like I'm telling Claude, hey, like I don't like this copy, like either directly telling it switch it to this, or being like, hey, I need these things changed. Also, the cool thing about Claude is you can actually reliably now tell it to remove M dashes. It'll always start off with a bunch of M dashes, but you can be like, hey man, go to the page and find all the M dashes and take them out. And it'll actually do that pretty reliably now. And then yeah, you're just restructuring and finding different pieces of the puzzle that you wanted to make. You see it's a pretty long Claude project, so you definitely need to go through and, well, you need to have the best version. I think it's like Pro or Max or whatever the case it is. That's the version that you need in order to be able to do this. You can't do this on like the regular tier of Claude, because you're just going to be going back and forth way too much, and you're going to hit that limit so fast. So make sure you pay. Totally worth it. And then you just go through and just make your iterations, whatever you need to do. And then in the end, you end up with a usable page. You know, like you'll see me do stuff like this, taking screenshots of the page and being like, hey, this is broken, fix this, center this, move this over, use this image here, switch this copy, you made up this stat, this is the actual stat that is true, all sorts of things, right? Or like it'll take artistic liberties in some ways that you might not have wanted it to take, just different things like that, right? And then you end up with a final product. And then here's the final product that we ended up coming to. And you see, so like, you know, it says content blocked because it won't play the video on this actual page. But here I can actually go through and find the actual page. Here you go. And there you go. This is the actual website hosted on here, built entirely on Claude itself. You see it's got the carousel images. All of these images are hosted on ClickFunnels. I can hover over it and then it'll stop it so I can look at testimonials. It put as, you know, all the images that I gave it. Pretty nice looking freaking page, right? And it was built entirely by Claude. It makes the whole process of making a landing page way faster as well, because you know you don't have to go through and make each element and move stuff around and change the sizes of everything and make sure it fits on mobile and desktop. Like it does all of that stuff on its own. The one thing I will say is that it'll default to emojis a lot of the time when it needs an image, but that's an easy to fix. If you want an actual image, you just create it somewhere else, like on ChatGPT or Gemini or something like that. And then you go through and like, yeah, these images, you know, were made on Fiverr, you know. Well, I think actually, no, he has an actual artist. Jacksblade has an artist who helped. And then buttons, and then I tell it, hey, I want the button to scroll to this part of the website, and even the frequently asked questions part like looks super nice. It's a really nice looking page, right? And yeah, like VSL, like this is hosted on Wistia, and it just brought it over, you know, into this HTML page. And like if we were to go into ClickFunnels, you would just see a blank page. You would see this because I wanted to use ClickFunnels' actual widget for this, for the sake of being able to split test the page and see which one's working and which one isn't. But yeah, like this is the only thing that's actually, like if you were to see the page on ClickFunnels, like the editing page, you would see a blank section with an HTML element and then just the pasted link. So if you go here and you see copy, like if I were to switch this over to this, like I just pasted this into there. So you would see a section with an HTML element and then pasted that code into it. and then another section with the actual order form, and then another section with the frequently asked questions and the footer. That's it. That's all that's on the page. Pretty simple stuff. It makes it super easy because now you're using AI to your advantage. And yeah, making landing pages is a dream. Everything looks nice. You can do like cool little widgets and carousels and things like that. But yeah, you can make some pretty fancy, professional looking pages. Yeah. So that's how you make a landing page with ClickFunnels. Definitely utilize it. Of course, if you're not using ClickFunnels, then you just need a different place to store images, or whatever the case may be. And you can obviously use Claude to look up and be like, hey, how on earth, like, I don't use ClickFunnels, I host my landing pages over here, how can I use this to my advantage? Like, what workaround do I need? Like, that's how you use AI the best. You know what I mean? Like, you give it as much context as possible, you let it know your situation, and then you're good. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully you're able to go out and make some awesome landing pages. And if there's anything else you would like to see me cover on this channel, feel free to let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe.